Hey there and welcome back to XCOM 2. My name is Pete and today it's time. Today we complete the very last episode in this Legend Ironman walkthrough of XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. Last time we left off after taking out, or rather over, an alien network tower that caused a bit of a ruckus, and with the aliens now occupied with protests and revolts on a global scale, I would say it's the perfect time for us to strike at their headquarters. And to do so, we will use the psionic gate and an avatar of our own creation, controlled by the commander, so us, to step through that gate. Obviously not alone, but with a full squad, and at this point I already have to apologize. I said at the end of the last episode that I would like to take the 6 soldiers with us who received the most MVP votes in this series, but sadly that won't quite be possible, unless we wanted to do this with 2 rangers, 2 sharpshooters, Dragonova and Julian. Now, since we are trying to unlock the Who Needs Tygan achievement today, and thus can only bring basic gear and weaponry that is available from the very beginning of the game, such a squad would be in big trouble. Our final squad composition, therefore, might actually be a bit of a surprise in some aspects. You'll see that in just a second. For now, let's take a look at what we're actually going to deal with in terms of aliens.
This is it, Commander. It's time we put an end to this, once and for all.
Yes, even for the alien fortress, the Shadow Chamber has a detailed list of enemies, and well, I'm not exactly sure whether it's good or bad. I have seen enemy numbers above 30 for this mission, however, lower numbers usually mean stronger enemies. You can see it here, Gatekeeper, Andromedon, Sectorpod, not exactly what you want to run into if your soldiers are wielding basic assault rifles and no armor. Still, I suppose we have no other choice at this point, so let's go ahead and select our squad.
Commander, we can deploy some of our wounded troops back into combat if you feel it's necessary. This operation is critical to our efforts. We may not have much of a choice if we want to proceed.
And yes, while we could once again take wounded soldiers for this one, just like we can on Avenger Defense missions, we're not going to. Instead, these 6 will get the honor. Led by the overall winner of all MVP polls in this series with 9 MVPs, Ranger Starforce spearheads the squad. Alongside him, Reaper Celica, because we really want someone to scout and because Banish will be invaluable in the second part of the mission. Grenadier QT comes along because she has Guardian as a bonus ability, we'll get to those shortly, and perhaps surprisingly, no Tsunami, no Sapphire West, but Pale Rider Hancock as our sharpshooter. Why? Well, at least partially, that's my fault. Sapphire West has no bonus abilities due to a bug, but I also forgot to cure Tsunami's Fear of Max, and for a mission of this caliber that's a risk we just can't take, which leaves only Hancock. Psi Operative Red Fighter Florist then probably the least impacted by weapons restrictions, which is why he comes along, and in some ways the same goes for Logan, who will play a special role as super mobile damage dealer who can tank some damage with parry if needed. Now you can't actually get back out of this screen, so everything you see next was done before squad selection. At this point, just a quick jump over to the training center. As you can see, we have plenty of points saved up and there is no reason not to use them. Particularly QT here receives a nice boost, I think. Keep in mind that she is the only one in the squad who can reliably shred armor, so we want to give her every opportunity to do so, not to mention that she will also bring a superior repeater. Yes, superior grade weapon attachments are a-okay for this mission. And without a superior magazine to boost her Banish, Reaper Celica here would have a much harder time arguing for her place in the squad. We're now going to boost her a little bit with Shredder and Blood Trail, just to help her clean up injured enemies a little easier. That same logic then also applies to Deadeye, which admittedly is not a great pick for Reapers, but that tiny bit of extra damage might just make the difference here and there. Pale Rider Hancock then will for the most part probably use his pistol skills in this mission. Nonetheless, we'll give him Rapid Fire and Guardian too, just to spend those last few ability points, but all things considered, this is not really a sharpshooter's mission. So that's it for abilities. Let's also take a quick look at the loadout now. You can see we are bringing plenty of medkits along with us. This is just one final check to make absolutely sure that we fulfill the requirements for the Who Needs Tygan achievement. So, regular Kevlar armor, assault rifle and tier 1 Psi-Amp, that is what we are restricted to with our Psi Operative here. We can, however, equip superior grade PCSs, just because you can normally not actually take them back off and thus soft lock yourself out of getting this achievement. Templar Logan then sporting the tier 1 Shard Gauntlets. This will unfortunately also reduce his damage output with Volt and Ionic Storm, nonetheless they will be an important tool during this mission. Ranger Starfall, for a change, equipped with a Perception PCS, his shotgun meanwhile still built for critical hits, any special ammo by the way also completely forbidden for this achievement. Celica then brings a flashbang along just in case we need it, her Claymore then also one of the most powerful weapons we have with us, and like I said, if you have Banish you need to bring an expanded magazine. QT then will sport a grand total of 3 grenades for this one. Thanks to a rather recent research breakthrough, she is also the only one who sports 2 weapon attachments, in her case Superior Scope and Superior Repeater. Her grenades by the way are all damage boosted because of Volatile Mix, and they might end up playing an important role in the later stages of this mission. Finally then we have Pale Rider Hancock's Superior Repeater on his sniper rifle. His aim stat is good enough to forgo the scope I think, and like I said, we will see him use the pistol most of the time anyway. And that's it, that's our 6-person squad to unlock the Who Needs Tygan achievement. Let's see if they can do it.
There. I've infused this material with the entirety of our viable Elder DNA. We won't get another chance at this.
Final connection is set. Power levels adequate. One more look at the buffer.
Watch you go over this thing 50 times. Take a breath.
We're ready.
Synthesis nearing completion. Now, Lily!
Initiating network connection.
Give him hell.
Gate is primed and ready, sir.
Patch me through. All right, people. The world got its wake-up call. And now they know the truth. Advent is a lie. And their time is up. They've got a full-fledged war on their hands now. While the aliens struggle to contain our world, we're gonna make a move on theirs. It won't be easy. But you're used to that. You did what was needed. Never gave up the fight. You are XCOM. And you're gonna end this. Humanity is counting on us, people. Good luck, Commander. Okay, stay alert. No way of knowing if they detect our presence yet.
Such loss, such needless waste. You force our hand, yet still we offer peace. Rejoin us, and your world will be spared.
Alright, our avatar has breached the gate, and that is probably the most important thing we have not yet talked about, because that commander's avatar is in fact unit number 7 on this mission, and in some aspects certainly the strongest one we have. The Psionic Repeater deals more damage than any of our other weapons, and we also have access to Null Lance, Dimensional Rift and Mind Control, with the latter actually being usable an infinite number of times, only restricted by a cooldown. Still, as we can see in the list of objectives in the top left corner, that avatar also needs to survive at any cost, which is made a little bit easier by the fact that it actually regains health anytime it's injured. It is also completely immune to any form of mind control, panic or the like. Nonetheless, let us hope that we do not need to put its resilience through any sort of serious test.
I will always find you.
Scouting ahead, Celica then spots our first enemies, 2 berserkers, a combined 56 hit points that we normally should not have much trouble taking out. This time though it could get tricky.
Whatever you say.
So we're having our squad take up overwatching positions here. Let's take this nice and slowly and wait for them to come to us.
Scanning.
Reapers are always vigilant.
Affirmative, covering now.
And there we go, that should get their attention. Alright, now despite Starfall getting off a shot here, I have a very bad feeling about what's going to happen next. I'm afraid that Celica is going to lose concealment in the very first enemy turn of the mission.
We are compromised.
Right, QT's Guardian also seemingly triggers, but she does not get to fire a second shot, and with that a rather unfortunate first enemy turn comes to an end. Definitely not the start we needed here with Celica losing concealment, but I think at least in terms of enemies this should still be manageable. So let's move up with QT and have her shoot first. After all, she's got the repeater and we might get lucky.
What did you expect?
Well, honestly, not that, but I'll gladly take it. This certainly makes the job a whole lot easier, as Starfall and Logan can now simply slash the second Berserker to pieces.
Hostile target down.
Very importantly, this also gives Logan another point of focus, something that we want to max out as soon as possible. Meanwhile, after recloaking Celica, we can keep scouting. So far though, she does not detect anything. Now, probably one of the most important things about this mission is that we do not have a timer, so we can afford to move up slowly and steadily, keep the group together and don't take risks.
I'm on it, got it covered.
After an uneventful alien turn, we then sent Celica up further, and with 21 enemies still left, the results are no surprise.
Volk says I know where you are. The invaders send a patrol.
Yes, that's a sector pod accompanied by 2 shield bearers. Enemy pod composition definitely works differently in this mission. We're going to see a lot more pods made up from multiple of the same enemies, something that usually does not happen as much in other missions. Either way, we have some time here and maybe we can make them come to us. They are actually not too far out of our sight range, so let's get some reloads in and sit tight.
Moving to Overwatch.
You can never escape my sight.
You harbor such blind hatred for us. We cannot understand it. Our intentions for your world were never hostile. They are still not. You are a part of us.
They actually expect us to buy any of this?
More distrust. Perhaps you would find more reassurance in our words if...
Interesting voice line here, leaving kind of open what the if is. Either way, we're not going to trust the aliens, so let us once again move forward and finish the turn on Overwatch.
Scanning?
I won't let them pass. Scanning!
This time the enemy pod comes in our direction, but does not get close enough. The next turn should do it though, so let's get ready and we put Hancock on pistol Overwatch here, so that he doesn't trigger them too early.
Scanning. Overwatch. I'm on it.
I see everything. Not good.
Come on!
Alright, that was something. The sectopod soaks up all the damage and only loses 5 hit points. The shield bearers meanwhile remain completely unharmed. For a squad that only has one soldier that can shred armor, this is obviously a nasty part, and we will actually not use chain shot here. That would only remove 2 more points of armor than a regular shot, equal to 2 more points of damage from any subsequent attack, while Rupture would allow all further hits to deal 3 more points of damage, while also being a critical hit itself.
Ready to engage. Running till empty. That armor's tough.
And with Rupture applied, we now turn to Pale Rider Hancock, who can shoot once with lightning hands,
Armor still holding.
then take a regular pistol shot, and finally fire 3 more times with Fanfire.
Draw. Hit the plate.
So that's half of the sectopod's HP down. Let's use our avatar now to deploy a Dimensional Rift. This thing actually persists and will do further damage if the aliens don't move out of it. Unlike Void Rift, however, it cannot inflict any additional conditions or status effects. Most importantly perhaps, Dimensional Rift does not end the avatar's turn, so after moving our Reaper out of the way, we can first launch a Null Lance with Esteban,
All will suffer.
and then a second one with our avatar. This, however, is also why it's a good idea to take your sweet time with this mission. Some of your best weapons have 4 to 5 turn cooldowns, and there really is no reason not to stay put and wait until they're all usable again.
Reapers are always vigilant.
Especially so, since the Dimensional Rift has just completely destroyed almost all cover in the vicinity, so we'd have to cover quite a bit of ground to get back into a solid position, and that's always risky, even if the map here is very large. Still, 18 enemies remain, and they might be anywhere, so let's play it cool, sit tight yet again, we have nothing to worry about for now.
Come get it, Calvin.
My watch begins.
Affirmative. Cover now.
Now, after spending 2 more turns on Overwatch, I think it's time that we at least keep our Reaper moving, with the expected results.
No place for you to go now.
This is what I meant earlier with those unusual pod compositions. Multiple sectoids is something that I believe can occur in other missions, but it is very rare, and 4 of them together, that's something I have not seen outside of this mission. Now, my hope here is that they come closer. Unfortunately, they do not, so Celica keeps chasing them, while we slowly advance a few tiles. Because of all that open ground, we are actually once again not too far out of their sight line, so we need to be careful here. We don't want to dash everyone forward just to the edge of where they can see us and then have no actions left to overwatch.
Scanning.
Watching comes naturally.
Thankfully though, they keep their distance, at least for a little longer, allowing Logan and Starfall to move closer via the right flank, while the rest of the squad mostly stays put.
I'm on it.
I am on watch.
Come get some.
Affirmative. Covering now.
Once again then, the sectoids keep pacing back and forth, but don't actually enter our sight range yet, so let's guarantee that we alert them on the next turn by switching Hancock from pistol to squad sight sniper overwatch.
What a
I watch closely.
Overwatch.
Scanning. I'm on it.
And there we go. As soon as the first sectoid makes a move, Pale Rider Hancock lets loose.
get him next time.
Right, just 3 reaction shots. I had expected a bit more here, but thankfully it's only sectoids. That is, at least in this group. Behind them we can also see 2 mutons, so we should probably keep our distance here to not alert them to our presence too. First shot then goes to Hancock, he's got a superior repeater too, and we're using Deadeye here to increase our odds at an instant kill, even if it comes with an overall loss of accuracy.
Not too shabby.
Lovely. Up next, let's use QT's saturation fire, which can actually target all 3 remaining enemies.
Laying it on thick.
Her repeater does not kick in, but we still get 3 hits and 1 kill, so that's nice, leaving Celica then to clean up 1 sectoid. And our avatar takes care of the other. So far so good, that brings us now down to 14 remaining hostiles, 2 of which we have already spotted. Needless to say, we finish our turn not doing much more than this.
On Overwatch. Moving to Overwatch. Come get some.
The aliens then don't come closer, so on the next turn we move up Celica to see what we're dealing with.
I go where you tell me. There is nowhere to hide.
Well, isn't that lovely? 4 mutons and 2 andromedons, a more than respectable group of enemies even with our best equipment, only this time around we'll have to take them out with nothing but basic gear. Still, almost all of our abilities are ready to go again, and perhaps we can deal a bit of damage beforehand with reaction shots, so let's move up, reload and overwatch.
Scanning. On Overwatch.
Scanning!
Our enemies, meanwhile, seem to have moved left, behind some walls, giving us a bit more room to catch up. We're forming a nice little wall here, and use several dashes to do so. Hopefully we get 1 more turn afterwards to set up reaction shots.
Overwatch.
My watch begins. I have sight beyond vision.
Right, man, if ever there was a moment for a blaster bomb, this here surely would be it. Alas, we don't have one, so Overwatches it is.
Got it covered. Overwatch. Affirmative. Covering now. Moving to Overwatch.
Covering now. I will always find you.
The patrol then keeps moving, just staying out of sight, but again, no pressure here, we just stay put and wait.
Affirmative. Covering now. Come get some.
I'll keep an eye on it.
Alright, so jumping ahead a bit, it's been 3 turns now, the aliens have not come any closer, so we're changing plans, at least a little bit. QT moves up slightly, and so do Hancock, Starfall and the Avatar. I'm actually not sure why I'm so hesitant to use Hancock's squad side Overwatch. I think I'm just afraid that it might cause the enemies to seek cover too far away from us, at which point we would then have an active pod and too much ground to cover to take them out in 1 turn. As you can see then, still nothing happens, and once again things remain that way for 3 more turns, until finally the enemy pod makes a new move.
On Overwatch. Got it covered. Affirmative. Covering now.
Come get some.
Scanning. Missed.
There we go, our patience paid off with QT's second execution of the mission. Sadly, it was only a muton, leaving 3 more alongside the pair of Andromedons. Also, we have 2 berserkers lurking in the back here, so this will be fun. Now, to get us started, we will once again ask QT to lay down saturation fire. She can unfortunately only target 2 enemies here, but 2 is better than 1, and we need all of that armor gone.
I got these!
Up next then, another dimensional rift from our avatar, which thankfully completely bypasses armor. And afterwards, we will then mind control the Andromedon on the left here. Our avatar gets such a high bonus to the success chance that this is guaranteed to work against any enemy in the game. Now, unfortunately, this also draws in the 2 berserkers, but we would have alerted them anyway with this next move, a run and gun with Starfall to get into striking distance against the Muton, hopefully enough to finish it off with rapid fire. Okay, not quite what I had hoped for, and the same is actually true for Esteban here, who seems to be just 1 tile shy of being able to hit his null lance on both opponents. So, change of plans, we are using Inspire instead to give our avatar another action.
You have the power.
And that action is then used for a null lance from slightly better position, not to mention one that also deals more damage. Still, 4 hostiles remain, and even with 4 points of armor, our Andromedon might have a hard time soaking up all of their attacks, so let's try to take out the Muton here too. Lightning Hands already finds its mark. Let's hope that 2 shots with rapid fire do too.
Well, how about that?
Alright, critical hit for the kill, lovely, and we still have Logan, who can now rend kill the Andromedon here to remove the last ranged enemy from this fight.
No place for you to go now.
Target eliminated.
At this point though, we will make sure that he pulls back a bit, so that these 4 can duke it out amongst themselves.
My turn on watch.
Tactical analysis also strikes, by the way, so both berserkers here only get 1 action point instead of 2.
I know where you are.
As a result, our Andromedon only gets attacked once, and that one misses, and we now have all 4 enemies clustered closely together. The Dimensional Rift then also explodes, dealing another 40 points of combined damage. I think you can see why the Avatar is one of the most powerful units in the game. Now, we unfortunately also lose the mind control here as the Andromedon dies and its shell reanimates, so the fight is far from won yet. Still, with the enemies so close together, we have a few unique options, such as a fuse from Red Fighter Flores to hit 3 of the 4. Moving on then, Pale Rider Hancock first shoots his pistol normally, and after delivering a lucky critical hit, we go for the face-off, once again targeting 3 of 4. Then it's time to move in our Avatar, who has now used up every last ability, and thus can only shoot the repeater. Nonetheless, that deals some good damage, and Logan also has the perfect target here to hit all 4 enemies with just a single rend attack.
Multiple hostiles eliminated.
So, that's 2 more down, 2 to go, and with just a bit of luck, Starfall should be able to take down the Berserker here.
It's dead. It has to be dead. Okay, I'll go.
And just like that, 2 hit points is all that's left. No trouble for Celica, who can now strike from the shadows. And there we go, 8 more enemies have been defeated, which means that only 6 remain. As you can see, they don't show themselves just yet, which is what I had been hoping for, so let's send out Reaper Sleeper to scout ahead.
What is that? Some kind of human enclosure?
There were always reports of missing civilians years before the first invasion. Could this be them?
Maybe they had planned to use this for some sort of psychological testing.
Yes indeed, this looks awfully like a small home for humans, almost cozy if it weren't for the glass walls and the tentacles creeping out from under the kitchen. Either way, there are no enemies in sight, and that's perfect, giving us enough time to reload, regroup and wait for our abilities to come off of cooldown again.
Moving to Overwatch.
And that is in fact how we proceed for a few more turns, until Logan eventually starts moving forward, shortly to be followed by the rest of the squad.
I'll watch closely.
On the next turn then, Celica keeps moving, leaving the high ground, but apart from a few more psionic gates, she does not spot anything. At the very least, that allows us to move our squad up onto the high ground, at least most of them, and to finish the turn on Overwatch.
Overwatch. Moving to
I am
Overwatch.
on watch.
Affirmative. Covering now.
Another alien turn then passes by uneventfully, so we are left with no choice but to keep sending Celica forward.
I will go.
The time for hiding is over.
Okay, looks like we have found our second to last enemy part, and to make things interesting, it consists of not 1 but 2 gatekeepers. There's also a codex in the back, and after moving Celica up closer, she discovers a second one. At least she has line of sight to 4 enemies here. The 4th codex can currently not be seen on screen. Once again, this could get interesting, but the roof of that human housing facility is currently accessible without the gatekeepers noticing us, so let's dash up there while we have a moment. This might mean that we sacrifice a few Overwatch shots, but it gets us in a good position for what comes next. Alright, and unfortunately our enemies also detect our presence immediately, and so indeed we can't fire a single reaction shot before things kick off. However, that might also not be necessary. Remember how I said earlier that our avatar's mind control is stupidly powerful? Yes, it can even guarantee the mind control of a gatekeeper. And just like that, there were only 3, while we have gained a powerful ally, even if it's just for a few turns. Gatekeeper number 2, meanwhile, is still a handful, so let's get to it with QT, who can target it with Chain Shot. Yes, for pure damage, Rupture would once again be better, but Chain Shot doubles our chances of the repeater kicking in.
Armor still holding.
After 2 shots, that is unfortunately not the case, so let's shoot a 3rd time. After Red Fighter Flores puts a stasis on the codex in the back here,
Armor of the mind.
and then gives QT an extra action with Inspire.
I give you strength.
Once again though, the shot only deals regular damage, but the Gatekeeper's armor is almost depleted. Time for Hancock's patented 5-shot pistol combo. First, lightning hands.
That armor's tough!
Then a regular shot. And finally, fanfire.
Special delivery. Hit the armor!
Double crits on the fanfire here to bring the Gatekeeper down to 11 HP. So up next, let's move Logan in for a rend attack. Now, curiously, the damage of Rend itself is reduced by armor, however, the arcwave damage against the other Gatekeeper is not, so we deal 6 points of damage here and completely bypass its armor. We then proceed with Starfall, who can run and gun right next to the Codex here, and hopefully kill it with rapid fire. Beautiful. Let's put him in position next to the other one, move Logan up too, and then drop down with Celica, who is actually not guaranteed to kill with this shot here, so we are using Sting to make sure that she stays hidden.
This will hurt.
Alright, perfect turn here I would say. One Gatekeeper down, the other one mind controlled, the Codex also can't act, and just like that, it's our move again. Now, the mind control on the Gatekeeper will last for a few more turns, so let's focus on the Codex for now. Starfall has a good chance of landing a crit here, and that's probably the best option we have, so let's see how much damage he can do. Alright, 8 damage, forcing the Codex to split into 2 HP clones.
I have sight beyond vision.
One stays where it is, the other moves to the right side, where we actually still have a bit of unexplored map, and well, if you've paid close attention, then you know that we also still have 2 enemies left undetected. Reason enough, I think, to send forth our Gatekeeper. And indeed, there we go, 2 Archons are what remains. Now, the plan here is for them to just fight the Gatekeeper to keep them busy, so we can focus on the 2 Codex clones. First shot actually goes to the Gatekeeper. And that's a kill. Lovely, so Logan can finish off the other one with lightning hands.
Next try neutralized.
This now allows our Templar to also still rend both Archons, but we're not going to do that. Instead, we'll target the Gatekeeper, which we ideally kill right before it comes out of its mind control, otherwise this could get ugly.
Hard target, minimal damage.
Now, the stun here is actually a bit more than I wanted. This means that the Gatekeeper won't get an action at all on the next turn. And speaking of the next turn, we want to make sure that the Archons go for the Gatekeeper, so let's pull everyone else back as far as possible. The Archons then once again only get 1 action due to tactical analysis, but that's enough for one of them to launch Blazing Pinions while the other goes on Overwatch. Now, the Blazing Pinions here actually work nicely for us, as they will do some guaranteed damage to the Gatekeeper. The Overwatch, meanwhile, is a bit annoying, as we can't move Logan right now. Or can we? It seems like line of sight works just perfectly in this case, and Logan is able to just run away without triggering reaction fire, so let's do exactly that. The rest of the squad, meanwhile, stays exactly where they are, as we get ready for the Archons to unleash. Okay, talk about underwhelming. Blazing Pinions dealing exactly 1 point of damage to the Gatekeeper. That armor might just be too good. Archon number 1 then goes on Overwatch, while the other one does not even attack, and so I think we need to do a little helping here if we don't want the Gatekeeper to become hostile again with more than half of its hit points still remaining. First of all though, let's open the Gatekeeper's shell to reduce its armor, and then launch a gateway, not to raise any Psi zombies, but simply to deal a bit of damage to both Archons. Up next then, Logan can strike with Rend again, and once again we make use of the fact that the Arcwave bypasses armor to also damage the Gatekeeper. This time the Archon gets stunned, so we enter parry mode and end our turn. This will ensure that Logan does not take damage.
To hide.
The mind control then persists, and the other Archon does in fact go after our Templar, but with very little success.
Need to find some new cover! I'm taking fire!
Now at this point, our 3-turn duration with mind control is nearing its end, but Logan should be able to take care of this by himself. Another Rend, and both Archons will die if they get in Bladestorm range, while Logan can parry to avoid damage from the Gatekeeper. In anticipation of that Gatekeeper becoming hostile again shortly, the rest of the squad also once again pulls back a bit, and then, just because we can, let's take a shot at the Archon here, even if the hit chance isn't great. So, there we go. As expected, we now lose control of the Gatekeeper again, and it immediately rushes for our Templar. Good thing that he is immune to damage for the first attack this turn.
It hit the plate. They're all over me!
The 2 Archons, meanwhile, are already toast. They just don't know it yet.
Target neutralized. Target eliminated.
So, this worked out nicely, I would say, not only because the Gatekeeper should be killable on this turn, but also because we stalled for long enough so that everyone's abilities are ready to go again, and that's actually extremely important at this point of the mission. After all, this here is the last enemy for now. And killing it won't be too difficult, at least that is what I hope. After moving Celica and QT in position, it is Logan who once again opens things up with Rend, this time inflicting Disorient, but we hardly care about that anymore. Let's get him out of dodge though, and then hope that QT can hit this 77%er. She can, which now leaves us with only 3 hit points, but also still with 5 points of armor. Let's have Esteban take a shot next. We carefully avoid using any abilities at this point, and instead make use of the fact that he has a superior stock equipped.
Hit the plate!
So, that's 1 more point of damage. Time to move up with Sharpshooter Hancock, who can now shoot his pistol. And that's another point of damage. No matter how high the armor is, damage won't be completely negated, and that's what we're abusing here, as Celica can now take aim for the kill shot. And just like that, the fight is over, and we immediately transition into the next stage of the mission.
Astounding. This entire facility submerged beneath our oceans. For how long, I wonder?
One problem at a time, Doctor.
Your form is but a shadow of our truth. We seek to defy that which would consume us all. Your efforts deny the surface of the before. You leave us no chance.
So, this is why it is crucial to have all of your abilities ready to go before wrapping up the previous stage. Once that last enemy falls, you are immediately transported into the second part of the mission, and while this starts off calmly, the first enemy is quickly spotted.
As you order, Commander. Their patrol is coming.
No place for you to go now.
Yes, so this avatar is one of the 3 we need to kill in order to win the mission. All other enemies can in fact be ignored if you so choose. Now, I don't recommend doing so, but at the same time, considering what we are sporting in gear, killing 3 avatars will likely eat up most of our actions. Needless to say, this is the truly challenging part of the mission. The first half was more of a prelude.
On Overwatch, come get some.
Now, for the time being, this avatar and the 2 Archons are in fact the only enemies present on the map, but that's about to change very quickly. Now, to start our next turn, as the enemies have not moved here, we are already in position, and we will immediately attach a homing mine to the avatar.
The target is mine.
Once we attack it directly, it will teleport, so it's best we do as much damage as possible with that one shot we get.
Hardly did anything.
You are our greatest adversary. You are our avatar. You can lead our armies and save your world. Return to us. There can be no more delay.
Though I find the possibilities proposed by the creature intriguing, I believe we have passed the point of rational discourse.
We didn't come here to talk.
Yeah, take it down.
Your persistence is admirable, but tired. It is time to accept the path laid out before you, Commander.
Return to us. You were once our greatest asset against this world. It can be so once again.
Okay, so thanks to the homing mine, the avatar has lost its armor as well as 5 hit points. Time to make it move once more with one of those grenades we have saved up. Alright, 24 hit points left. Let's use Hail of Bullets next to guarantee another hit. Alright, would you look at that? Amazing start here with QT hitting the repeater in the best possible moment, instantly killing the first avatar. You should absolutely never rely on these to work, but when they do, they are oh so satisfying. Now, this also means that we should have little trouble dispatching of the 2 Archons, as Logan can hit them both with a rend here. And then Starfall can follow it up with a slash of his own. He even crits for the kill, and Logan's Bladestorm will take care of the rest, meaning we can now move up towards the center of the map with the rest of the squad. Once again, incredibly lucky first turn here. I think we still would have been able to kill the avatar in one turn, but definitely not while also making sure to take care of the Archons. So, this is what we are now in for. From the psionic gates on these platforms to the side of the battlefield, new enemies will spawn in every single turn. For now, the first group here are just chrysalids, nothing to worry about, I think. But just like in the earlier sections, the game can go absolutely crazy with what it throws at us. The Archon then launching blazing pinions, but only the animation. The attack itself is halted by Logan's Bladestorm, and we don't have anything more incoming to worry about. And yes, the gates on the right here are not done yet. 3 sectoids now join the party, and just like that, we have 6 enemies active against us. Also of note, no second avatar on the map just yet, so for now we'll have to make do with these foes. And let's get to it. Our avatar has a guaranteed hit against any of the sectoids. Let's see if we can do enough damage for the kill. Alright, lucky critical to make it 5 enemies. Time to send in Logan and unleash more rend damage. By the way, Logan was this close to not making it into the final roster. At this point though, I am very glad I took him along. So glad in fact that we're using Esteban's Inspire here to give Logan another action, only this time he can target the sectoids. Right, I feel like we're using up all of our luck here early. That's another critical. Let's move our Templar back into Bladestorm range and then go for the last sectoid here with Starfall. This critical then not quite as surprising, and our Ranger can now also move in for the Bladestorm, while Hancock and Celica take up better positions and we end our turn. This immediately leads to the arrival of another group of enemies, 2 Archons, 2 Sectoids and Avatar number 2. I think you can also see now why trying to eliminate all enemies might become more and more difficult as the mission progresses. It might be doable with the absolute top tier equipment, but alas, we don't have any of it. Starfall then unexpectedly misses his Bladestorm, a bit of bad luck here to make up for those crits I suppose, but thankfully he's untouchable and does not get hit either. His second strike then also connects, leaving only a single chrysalid standing, in addition to the next group of enemies now spawning in, 3 codexes. This should be fun. Now this time around, all new enemies have spawned in on the opposite end of the map, so chances are most of them won't get into attack range on this next turn. That means, apart from Celica, who can stealth up a bit here to keep an eye on things, the rest of the squad will take up cover positions and go on Overwatch to end the turn. Only Logan gets to attack, a simple rend to kill the last chrysalid, yet again a critical, not quite sure what's going on here, but either way the kill would have been guaranteed. And so, let us lay low now and wait for the enemies to come to us.
Come get Overwatch, on Overwatch.
The target is marked.
Up first then is in fact the Avatar, who seems to be dashing, so that's nice, and also immediately gets shot at by Starfall.
Shot wide.
The shot misses though, that was to be expected I think, and now we've got Andromedons incoming, although once again we are so far away from them that they need to use their entire turn on movement. That's one of the advantages you should definitely utilize in this final area. It is larger than you might think, and strategic placement on one side of the map can easily give you an extra turn while your enemies catch up to you.
No place for you to go now.
Tactical analysis is also applied against the codexes here, even though the ability's description says that it only triggers when you discover enemies on your turn, but I'm certainly not complaining. And, well, it seems like it also doesn't matter much if a codex decides to simply teleport. Thankfully, the shot goes wide. But yes, it is around this point in the mission where you should expect to start taking some damage here and there, because we do of course have even more enemies incoming. How about 3 mutons to spice things up? Absolutely lovely. Nonetheless, our focus here remains on killing the Avatar. And once again, we are using a Claymore to start things off. This time, however, we'll place it on the ground so that it can damage both the codexes near the Avatar too. To detonate it then, we're moving up Psi Operative Flores, who can then launch a Null Lance straight at Avatar and Explosive.
No armor will shield you.
Now, unfortunately, this adds 2 more enemies as the codexes clone themselves, but most importantly, it removes 10 hit points from the Avatar. Weirdly enough, the Codex clone over here now clones itself a second time, so 2 enemies just turned into 5. Not quite sure what happened there, but it certainly does not make things easier. Nonetheless, like I said, our focus remains on the Avatar, who can now get rapid fired at by Starfall, 2 guaranteed hits with a good chance of landing 2 criticals.
Armor's still holding.
Lovely, that is indeed 2 crits and the Avatar is already down to 9 hit points. So far this is going very smoothly. Now that it has teleported right into the heart of our enemies, however, delivering the killing blow might be a bit tricky, so for the moment let us use Hancock to clear out a few of those Codex clones.
You know that was good.
Then it's time for Avatar on Avatar violence. We send ours up, and the null lance here might just be enough for the kill. Let's see how much damage we can do. And there we go, that's the second Avatar defeated. Good thing that null lance bypasses armor, so anything but minimum damage would have been enough. Now, at this point, we still have quite a few enemies left standing, so let's have Celica clear out another Codex. And then Logan can take care of the other one. I think, or rather I hope, that the Andromedons, the Sectoids and the Mutons are still far enough away to not be a serious threat, but again, a few points of damage here and there would be acceptable at this stage. Okay, so what may seem really bad is actually very good here. The third and final Avatar has spawned in. Once again, defeating this one will immediately complete our mission objective, so the sooner we get this over with, the better.
It hit the plate.
At least we know where they are.
This is especially true since the Andromedon here does in fact have range to attack us. An acid bomb strikes our Avatar and Esteban, although the latter is thankfully immune to its damage. Andromedon number 2, meanwhile, thankfully only goes on Overwatch, and the Sectoid also does what I had hoped it would, raising a Psy Zombie, and curiously picking the dead Avatar as a target. That has to be some sort of alien blasphemy, I'm sure. Sectoid number 2, meanwhile, wastes its turn dashing, while the last remaining Codex goes for a teleport followed by Psionic Bomb, also dealing no damage and only disabling Starfall's weapon. So far so good, it looks like everyone will indeed survive this turn. The Mutons, also all impacted by tactical analysis, only get 1 turn and thus don't make it close enough. Our Avatar also recovers a few of the hit points it lost, so if you need someone to take a shot here and there, that's who you might want to send out, although regenerating 5 hit points per turn certainly does not make it unkillable. So then, I think it's safe to say that this is it. With a bit of luck, this will be our last turn, as we now put everything towards killing the third Avatar. Once it falls, the mission will be over, and forgive me for not going true completionist on this one. I just don't think that we can survive this if we went after every single other enemy, not to mention that that would be pointless anyway, since they would keep spawning in indefinitely. So, let's get to it. We'll start things off with a dimensional rift to deal damage bypassing the Avatar's armor and then force it to move. That move then, quite a distance away, but no worries, Esteban can make it into range, and Soulfire is a guaranteed armor bypassing hit no matter what.
Your mind is your weakness.
Okay, so this might just be perfect. Yes, the Avatar still has all 4 points of armor and 23 hit points left, but Celica has it flanked, her shots shred armor, and using Banish she will deal at least 28 points of damage, and that's one more than we need.
Time to join your gods!
Stabilizing the psionic network, everything's going haywire. That gate's not gonna hold much longer.
You heard her! Move!
Shen, tell me you've got a plan B here. Nice work.
Wasn't anything on my end. This shouldn't even be possible. Unless...
Commander, whatever it is you're doing is working. Just make sure you save enough juice for your own trip home. Commander, you okay? We just lost contact. What the hell is happening here, Doctor?
It's the Elders. They're overwhelming our link, enveloping the Commander's consciousness.
Then sever the connection!
we do that, we risk a complete overload.
We will reclaim what was given. We will be whole once more. Now! Your victory here means the end for all others. It will follow you as it followed us. You are not ready. We must not fail.
Vitals stabilizing. Synaptic activity returning to acceptable levels.
And one transdimensional psionic network down for the count.
Mission accomplished, Commander.
This is the Liberation Network broadcasting on all frequencies. Advent is in full retreat across all areas.
Heavy fighting continues in the city's centers as Advent forces attempt to regroup.
We're barely keeping up with the flood of refugees here, as people continue to desert the Advent-controlled city centers.
Full curfew remains in effect as the administration deals with the ongoing crisis.
To all of you in the occupied zones, hold your ground. Continue the fight. We promise you, help is on the way.
What next?
We finally come in from the cold.
and sisters. Welcome home.
With the psionic network down, the core is even stronger.
Gather everyone. Our time is short. We won but a battle. Now the real war begins.
And there we are. Roughly 2.5 years after starting the series, we have finally completed our Legend Ironman walkthrough of XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. Winning this final mission with only conventional gear also unlocks the elusive Who Needs Tygan achievement, which, according to my Steam stats, not even 1% of players have. We have also won this campaign without losing a single soldier for the Untouchables achievement, and we unlock Earth Avenged, Defender of Humanity, Immortal Commander and Valhalla, all for doing this on Legend difficulty and in Ironman mode. The only single-player campaign achievements that still remain locked are the ones for beating the game as fast as possible, which I decided against because it somewhat conflicts with the completionist premise that I had for this series, and the one for beating the campaign without ever buying a squad size upgrade, something I decided against so that I could show off as many of your Patreon-submitted characters as possible. And speaking of which, I want to take a moment here to say thank you now to all of those wonderful folks who sent me their creations. In total, counting soldiers, engineers and scientists, 59 of your characters made it into the series, and I want to thank everyone who sent me one. Of course, not all of them could make it in, but I will make sure to upload the character pool from this series somewhere, so that our heroes and those who did not get a chance can live on in your games. For today then, we end things with a look at some global stat comparisons. I don't think we need to go over every single one of them here. I think it should be clear that because we took the completionist approach, we took a lot longer to complete the campaign than what was perhaps necessary, but I hope you enjoyed the series, which after 72 episodes has now finally reached its end. And I think I will leave it at that. This game will definitely hold a special place in my heart after the series, perhaps even more so than the first one, and so I think it is only fair that we now give some time to the talented people who made it. What follows now are the roughly 15-minute long credits for both the base game and War of the Chosen. So as we get ready for that, I can once again say thank you all for your support with this series. Please leave one last thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you like what I'm doing, you can go ahead and subscribe to stay up to date for whatever comes next, grab some merch over on shop.peakcomplete.com, or support me over on Patreon, for example to get your name into a future video. For today then, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.